Heartland fans, I have to say that the latest theories surrounding Season 20 might be some of the most emotional ones we have ever discussed. Because even after all these years, there is one question that continues to live in the hearts of viewers around the world. What if Ty Borden somehow returned to Heartland? What if Amy had one more chance to see the love of her life? And perhaps even more importantly, what if Lyndy had the opportunity to spend time with the father she barely got to know? Now, before we begin, it is important to remember that there is currently no official confirmation that Ty Borden is returning to Heartland. His death remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in the history of the show. However, Heartland has always been a series built around memories, family connections, dreams, and emotional storytelling. And with Season 20 becoming such a major milestone for the franchise, fans have naturally started imagining what the ultimate emotional storyline could look like. And honestly, if there is one storyline capable of bringing tears to the eyes of longtime viewers, it would be Ty somehow finding a way back into Amy and Lyndy's lives. Just imagine the opening moments of Season 20. The sun is rising over Heartland Ranch. The horses are already moving across the fields. Everything appears peaceful. Amy is preparing for another normal day. Lyndy is getting older, more independent, and more curious about the world around her. But something feels different. For years, Amy has been trying to move forward. She has worked hard to rebuild her life after losing Ty. She has faced challenges, overcome heartbreak, and continued raising Lyndy while carrying the memory of the man she loved. Yet some wounds never fully disappear. Some people never stop being part of your story. And Ty is one of those people. One thing Season 20 could explore is the growing connection between Lyndy and her father, even though he is no longer physically present. As Lyndy gets older, she naturally begins asking more questions. What was Ty really like? What kind of father would he have been? What were his dreams? What made Amy fall in love with him? These are difficult questions, not because Amy does not know the answers, but because every answer forces her to revisit memories she has spent years trying to balance between happiness and pain. Imagine a scene where Lyndy discovers old photographs hidden away in a box. Pictures of Amy and Ty during their earliest years together. Pictures of adventures, road trips, horse competitions, and family moments. For Lyndy, these are exciting discoveries. For Amy, they are emotional reminders. And suddenly, Season 20 becomes about preserving Ty's legacy. Not through sadness, not through grief, but through love. The more Lyndy learns about her father, the more she begins resembling him. Not just physically, in her personality, in her determination, in the way she refuses to give up when things become difficult. The family starts noticing it. Lou notices it. Jack notices it. Even Amy notices it. And every time they see those similarities, they are reminded that Ty's influence never truly disappeared. Because a person's legacy is not measured only by how long they live. Sometimes it is measured by the people they leave behind. At the same time, another major storyline could involve Amy facing a difficult crossroads. For years, she has been focused on healing. Then came Nathan. His arrival created something Amy never expected. Hope. The possibility of a future. The possibility of loving someone again. And while many fans support that relationship, others continue wondering whether Amy can ever truly move on from Ty. Season 20 could explore this question in a very emotional way. Not by bringing Ty back physically, but by forcing Amy to confront the memories she has been carrying for years. Imagine Amy preparing to make a major life decision. Perhaps Nathan proposes. Perhaps he asks her to start a completely new chapter. And suddenly, Amy finds herself questioning everything, not because she doesn't care about Nathan, but because moving forward sometimes feels like leaving the past behind. That emotional conflict could become one of the strongest storylines of the season, because anyone who has experienced loss understands that healing is complicated. You can love someone who is gone. You can cherish their memory. And you can still allow yourself to find happiness again. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Heartland has always understood that. And Season 20 could explore that idea more deeply than ever before. Meanwhile, Lyndy's journey becomes increasingly important. Unlike Amy, Lyndy's memories of Ty are limited. She knows him through stories, through photographs, through family memories, through the people who loved him. But what if she wants something more? What if she feels disconnected from a father she never truly got to know? That desire could lead to some incredibly emotional moments. Imagine Lyndy sitting with Jack one evening, the two of them watching the sunset over Heartland Ranch, and Lyndy asks a simple question. What was Dad really like? At first, Jack struggles to answer, not because he doesn't know, but because there are too many memories, too many stories, too much emotion. Eventually, he begins talking, and through his words, viewers once again experience the qualities that made Ty such a beloved character: his courage, his loyalty, his determination, his compassion, his willingness to fight for the people he loved. These conversations would not only help Lyndy understand her father, they would also remind longtime fans why Ty remains such an important part of the series. Another possibility is that Season 20 introduces a challenge involving the ranch itself. Heartland has always thrived when personal stories intersect with larger family struggles. Perhaps financial difficulties emerge. Perhaps outside developers threaten nearby land. Perhaps environmental issues create unexpected obstacles. Whatever the challenge, it forces the entire family to come together. And during that process, they find themselves relying on lessons Ty once taught them. This is where the emotional impact becomes even stronger. Because Ty may no longer be present physically, but his influence continues, guiding decisions. His values continue shaping the family. His memory continues inspiring the people he loved. That idea feels incredibly consistent with Heartland's core message. The show has never suggested that death erases relationships. Instead, it demonstrates how love continues affecting people long after someone is gone. And honestly, that is one reason Heartland resonates so strongly with audiences. The emotions feel real. The struggles feel authentic. The healing feels earned. Now let's imagine another possibility. As Lyndy grows older, she begins developing a remarkable connection with horses. At first, Amy assumes this is natural. After all, horses have always been part of the family's life. But gradually, Lyndy starts displaying instincts that remind everyone of both Amy and Ty. She understands animals in unusual ways. She refuses to give up when situations become difficult. She forms connections others struggle to create. And suddenly, everyone realizes something important. Ty's legacy is not fading. It is growing, living through the next generation. That realization could create some of the most emotional scenes in the entire season, especially for Amy. Because for years, she worried that Lyndy would never truly know her father. Now she begins understanding that Ty's influence has always been there, not through memories alone, but through the person Lyndy is becoming. At the same time, Season 20 could also explore Amy's relationship with her own future. For a long time, Amy's story has focused on survival, learning how to continue after unimaginable loss. But eventually, survival must evolve into something else. Living, dreaming, building, growing. Season 20 could represent that transformation. Imagine Amy realizing that moving forward does not mean forgetting Ty. It means carrying his memory into the future. It means allowing herself to experience happiness without guilt. It means accepting that love can take many forms. That message would be incredibly powerful, especially for viewers who have followed her journey from the beginning. Another fascinating storyline could involve old letters, journals, or recordings connected to Ty. Perhaps Lyndy discovers something unexpected. A message, a memory, a story she never knew existed. Suddenly, she gains a new understanding of her father. And through her eyes, viewers experience those emotions as well. What makes this possibility so compelling is that it would allow Ty to remain part of the story without undermining the emotional impact of his original departure. Because the truth is that Ty's death changed Heartland forever. Trying to reverse that would diminish years of character growth. But honoring his legacy while continuing the story feels entirely different. That approach respects both the character and the audience. As the season progresses, relationships throughout the family continue evolving. Lou faces new responsibilities. Katie begins considering her future. Jack reflects on everything the family has overcome, and through it all, there is a recurring theme. Legacy. What do we leave behind? How do we influence future generations? What parts of ourselves continue living through others? These questions connect every major storyline, and no character embodies that theme more than Ty. Even years after his death, he remains one of the most influential figures in the series, not because viewers refuse to let go, but because his impact on the people around him was so profound. That is why fans continue discussing him. That is why his name still appears in conversations. And that is why any storyline involving his memory immediately resonates with audiences. As we approach the final episodes of this imagined Season 20 journey, the emotional stakes become even higher. Amy finally reaches a place of peace. Not because she stops missing Ty, not because she forgets him, but because she understands something important. Love does not disappear. It changes. It evolves. It becomes part of who we are. And through Lyndy, through the family, and through Heartland itself, Ty remains part of that story. One of the final scenes could feature Amy and Lyndy riding together across the ranch. The same fields, the same mountains, the same home where so many memories were created. As they ride, Amy tells Lyndy another story about her father. This time, however, the story is not filled with sadness. It is filled with gratitude. Gratitude for the time they shared. Gratitude for the lessons he taught them. Gratitude for the love he left behind. And in that moment, both Amy and Lyndy understand something beautiful. Ty may not be physically present, but he never truly left Heartland. His spirit exists in every memory, every lesson, every act of kindness, every moment of courage, and most importantly, in the daughter who continues carrying his legacy forward. That is why I believe any Season 20 storyline involving Ty would ultimately focus on legacy rather than resurrection. Because Heartland has always been at its best when it tells stories about family, healing, and hope. And there may be no greater example of those themes than the lasting impact Ty Borden continues having on everyone who loved him. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Heartland should continue honoring Ty through memories and family stories? What kind of father do you think he would be to Lyndy today? And if there was one emotional moment involving Amy, Lyndy, and Ty's legacy that you would love to see in Season 20, what would it be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Because no matter how many years pass, Ty Borden will always remain one of the most unforgettable characters in Heartland history.